the total amount นะครับ the total amount ครับ that Mr. Smith bought toys and paid by credit cards total amount that Mr. Smith bought toys and paid by credit cards นะครับ okay in this example I give you 3 minutes to do นะครับ I give you 3 minutes to do okay please do it now ครับ right okay let's see นะครับ how much let me just like use a manual way in order to do that first Mr. Smith bought toys and paid by credit card Mr. Smith is our buyer นะครับ okay bought toys and paid by credit card is 500 yes it's correct ครับ now let's see นะครับ if I use the sum if s นะครับ how it looks like นะครับ how it looks like okay in this one we just go to use sum if s นะครับ sum if s and then sum range is our amount paid criteria 1 นะครับ criteria range 1 is name of the buyers นะครับ and then it is Mr. Smith criteria range 2 นะครับ is toys นะครับ is goods and then I just type toys and lastly นะครับ criteria range T is payment method the criteria T is credit card so if you have to type the text in one thing that you have to be careful is about the space นะครับ the white space that we have like this one นะครับ credit card has credit and then space card นะครับ okay so you can see that the intermediate result is showing us 500 นะครับ as 500 so this is what we have นะครับ for the sum if s นะครับ in this example นะครับ we have altogether 3 criteria so you can have up to tens of the criteria นะครับ in order to find the sum if s นะครับ there's no problem at all but if you have like so many criteria นะครับ I recommend you not to just like type in like equals to sum if s blah 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 manually นะครับ you better use the tools that is the formula builder box for you นะครับ it would help after that when we learn for the sum if s already the next function that we have to learn is what we call function count if and count if s count if and count if s what are they นะครับ count if and count if s so let's see the original the origin of the function count if and count if s first where are they from นะครับ function count if and count if s came from or are originated from the function called count ครับ function count is a function that we use in order to count the numbers นะครับ in the specified cells for example if you want to know that how many sales records do we have นะครับ how many sales records do we have the way that we do is that we just go to use the function count like this okay the function count นะครับ will follow by the values that you have นะครับ or the range of cells that you would like to count นะครับ okay for example in here if I highlight นะครับ all of this thing นะครับ from G2 to G26 นะครับ there are altogether 25 cells นะครับ 25 cells นะครับ in my result for counting นะครับ so I can say that okay I might say that number of records number of sales transaction something like this นะครับ so because of what in the future if you have thousands of sales นะครับ and you want to know that how many records or how many transactions are there you may have to use the count function like this นะครับ in the meeting room sometimes if you don't have time enough in order to generate or type the count function like this how can we easily count the numbers นะครับ for example if you want to count how many records are there นะครับ there are some techniques that we use first one you can see that this one start from row 1 that is header and we have data up to row 26 that means there are altogether 26 minus 1 because we and I mean exclude the headers. So there are altogether 25 rows or 25 records. The next tips that we may use in the meeting room. This one I can tell you that normally we just use it in the meeting room, because if somebody asks you and you have to answer to them orally, we do like this technique. The first one, count number of rows in here. Second one, you go to the first cell that you would like to start counting, and then highlight all of them. So you can see that in here. Once you highlight them already, just have a look on the bottom right corner. On the bottom right corner, you see a line that tells us this line is what we call the status bar. You can see that this one is show as count as count 25. So you can tell in the meeting room immediately that this is a count. And also you can have like sum if you want to know, if somebody asks you that, hey, how much is the total amount that we receive from these sales. Okay, you can say that, okay, it's 19,852 okay, and average is 794.08, something like that. So this is the next tip that we may do in order to count easily. But anyway, sometimes just the counting is not useful for us much, because when you count, you have to count every records. You can't count according to the criteria that we have. For example, if I want to know that how many records that Cindy sold for us, how many records that Cindy sold for us, okay. So in this one, I will say that, okay, I'll use the function count if. Let me explain to you first. Count if is a function that we use to count number of sales. We use to count number of sales, but we have the criteria for counting as well. For example, in this case, I want to count the sales record that our sales representative sold for us. We want to know that how many transactions that Cindy sold. Okay. The thing that we do is that, okay, we have to find first. Okay, we will count. Actually, we would like to count number of the word Cindy in here. So this one is to count the sales transaction that Cindy sold, because every time or every row that it has a name Cindy, it is a record that show us for what Cindy sold for us. This one we will use the count if function to help. Now let's see function count if. What's different from the basic count function? For the count if function, count if followed by two arguments that are range and criteria. It will count the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition. So that means you have to specify two things. The first one is the range that you want to count, while criteria is the value that you want to focus in, or you would like to count in that range. In this case, the range should be the list of the seller name, while the criteria is Cindy. Okay, so let's do it. In this one, the range in here, we specify column C that are name of sellers. And criteria, we just enter Cindy. We just enter Cindy. You can see that in this case, Cindy sold 9 transactions. That is 9. Now let's check whether it's true or not that Cindy sold 9 transactions for us. Okay, so let's see. I'll show you again for the count if that we count Cindy. In here, range, we specify the list of the seller in column C, and the criteria we enter Cindy and it shows 9. In here, let's see นะครับ if we just like filter just Cindy นะครับ we still filter just Cindy, sorry, you can see that we have altogether 9 records นะครับ you can see that in here it said count is 9 as well นะครับ so that means Cindy is like Cindy has like 9 transactions นะครับ that she sold the product for us 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9, yeah, it's 9 transaction นะครับ okay, so this is like what Cindy sold นะครับ for the count if นะครับ it is just like very easy like this นะครับ okay, let's do one easy example by yourself นะครับ okay, just 2 minutes ครับ can you please find out how many records Miss Paula purchased from our store? If you get the answer already, please tell me how many records that Miss Paula purchased from our store. 5, okay, Rika said it's 5 records, okay, alright, 1 more minute นะครับ Chita said 5 as well. Ishakon said 5 too, okay, so now let's see Miss Paula นะครับ let me just filter ครับ Tanyanit said 5 as well. Patranai said 5, okay, in this one buyer is whom? Buyer, I'm sorry, Miss Paula นะครับ okay, Miss Paula, it's 1 2 3 4 5, yeah, it's 5 นะครับ let's do it นะครับ properly by using the function count ifs นะครับ okay, in this one I use count if นะครับ the range นะครับ in this one I would like to find the records that Miss Paula purchased from us. Miss Paula is our customer นะครับ or buyer, so I have to highlight list of all buyers in here and criteria นะครับ I type Miss Paula, okay, Miss Paula, okay, so it shows 5 นะครับ 5 records นะครับ that Miss Paula purchased from us นะครับ the next one นะครับ so who don't get 5 records ครับ from Miss Paula purchasing, okay, Pemika get 5 as well, yeah, that's correct นะครับ okay, so if you don't have any question from count if นะครับ and if you get like the same number of records นะครับ purchased by Miss Paula, the next one that I'm going to do is just a little bit more complex function นะครับ that is count if s. count if s is the function นะครับ that is also the extension part from count if. it helps us to count นะครับ when we have more than one criteria นะครับ where count if just help us in order to count when we have just one criteria only นะครับ so let's see นะครับ for count if s syntax, how does count if s look like? for count if s นะครับ it's just similar to the count if นะครับ okay, but for the count if s you have more arguments นะครับ so in this one you can see that we have criteria range, comma criteria, comma dot dot dot, that means it will be repeating group นะครับ criteria range criteria นะครับ and then we have criteria range 2, criteria 2, criteria range 3, criteria 3 นะครับ okay, so in this one inside they are actually absolutely the same นะครับ you enter criteria range 1 that may consist of all the data that you want to have first, and then you specify the criteria. After that you enter the next criteria range and the next criteria นะครับ according to what you need. Let's see the example where count if s can be applied นะครับ in this one say that how many transactions where, okay, let me see first. In this one you can see that we have 2 criteria already. One is the buyer, the other one is product นะครับ so this one when we have two criteria นะครับ and you are asked to find how many transaction that means you have to use count if นะครับ but when you have two criteria you have to use count if s in this one นะครับ it's easy we just go to use count if s นะครับ criteria range 1 is the name of the buyer นะครับ list of the name of the buyer and then you specify Miss Cat นะครับ so in this one if you just like specify this Miss Cat purchased 6 transaction with us but it's not enough because we said that we want to know how many transactions that Miss Cat purchased book from us so criteria 2 should be the goods you highlight all the goods and criteria 2 is book you can see that in this one it shows just one only so that means Miss Cat purchased book from us one time in this one it shows one now let's check we just screen filter from the buyer first that is Miss Cat and after that goods is book you can see that there is just only one record that Miss Cat purchased book from our store okay this is count if s now let's try by yourself easy example as well I want you to count to find how many transactions where Andrew sold food with the amount over $200 Andrew sold food with the amount over $200 I give you 3 minutes to find out the transactions where Andrew sold food with the amount over $200 yeah the answer is correct 2 transaction or 2 records then in another minute I'll show you how we're gonna just like use this some count if s okay right okay now let's come back to this one let's see we have in this example we have to evaluate we have to analyze first that how many criteria do we have the first one where Andrew sold Andrew is the seller one criteria next food is a product is another criteria with the amount over 200 over 200 is another criteria as well because it should be about the amount paid should be the amount paid okay right so we have 3 criteria altogether the difficult part is here I didn't teach you for over $200 what should we fill up in the count if s in some if s is the same idea for this kind of thing now let's see the first one we have to use count if s first criteria range 1 is Andrew it's the seller you type criteria that is Andrew next okay criteria range 2 is goods and then you say that criteria 2 is food after that criteria range 3 amount over $200 so it's about amount paid so amount paid is in column G and lastly criteria 3 over 200 in this one you have to use the symbol the relative symbol to compare that is greater than 200 because greater than $200 here is not text it's not the text it's the number and the comparison only so you don't need to put double quotes you don't put double quotes on and then you click OK then you can see that it shows us for 2 transactions it shows us for 2 transactions okay so in this one when it is not a text you don't need to enter the double quote but count if s will add it automatically you don't need to add by yourself for double quote greater than 200 so this one we will get 2 transactions or 2 records for the number of records that Andrew sold food นะครับ with the value or with the amount greater than $200 นะครับ two records. And if in this one, if you just like filter, you can see that if we filter for these values นะครับ hang on, we filter seller to be just Andrew นะครับ sold food, and then you can see that in here amount paid is from where is varied ครับ so in this one ครับ in this one here let's try if you enter greater than 200 in this one นะครับ unfortunately if you just like put greater than symbol here it doesn't work นะครับ for the basic filtering, so that's why you have to just like see and choose by yourself manually, and then you can see that there are just like 2 records นะครับ only นะครับ according to the criteria that we have. Okay, then up to this point, do we have any questions ครับ for the count if s? If you don't have any questions นะครับ for the count if s นะครับ we will continue with another function that you should know นะครับ the next function that you should know we don't use this example the sample data this one straight away นะครับ I have to create the basic sample data first นะครับ before we just like come back to use like this original data. Okay, now let's begin with the function that is called sum product. For the sum product function, it's the combination of the two operations นะครับ that Excel will do for you. The first operation is product. Product is a multiplication result นะครับ and then the next operation that is sum นะครับ so what does sum product do? Sum product will sum the products result นะครับ or the the multiplication result of some values นะครับ so that means when you have to use product นะครับ it will be the multiplication from different cells นะครับ normally they are from different columns นะครับ of the calculation นะครับ okay, let's see let's start with the first example for the sum product. If we have the product with its price like this นะครับ okay, now we have 2 products in this example, oranges and bananas นะครับ and we have price per unit of each product and the quantity in the stock of each product. So suppose we don't have any idea about sum product function. If you would like to find the stock price of each product นะครับ you have to multiply price per unit of each product with its quantity. For example, for the oranges stock price, it is 2 times 3, that is $6. And same as bananas, and same as bananas. Okay, so that means our stock นะครับ for these fruits นะครับ the value นะครับ of this stock is $26 นะครับ is $26 นะครับ. Okay, so in this one that is like the way that we have we don't have any ideas about the sum product function นะครับ. So the things that we have to do is that you have to multiply them first and then you sum them up. But if you have some products, it will not be difficult at all นะครับ let me just like show you the operation of the sum product function first. When you do the sum product function นะครับ when you do the sum product function, it works like this. Firstly นะครับ, if we say that you want to find the sum product between these 2 columns นะครับ the things that sum product will do is that it will multiply this นะครับ and go to the next row, multiply this, and then it sums them up and then report the answer to you นะครับ. So this is the sum product, how sum product works. So we will see the sum product function นะครับ. What does sum product function needs to get or need to have? Then you just like click on FX button and then just go to sum product function. For the sum product function, it has array 1, array 2, array 3 นะครับ so normally it will be like this. This is what we call array 1, array 2 นะครับ it will multiply the first cell of each array นะครับ when we get the result นะครับ it store นะครับ temporarily and then it will sum them up. For the sum product, you can have more than 2 arrays นะครับ so that means if you have another column นะครับ as array 3 นะครับ like this, you can sum them as well นะครับ the value will be sum นะครับ from 3 arrays นะครับ in the same row and then just like put it as an intermediate result before they are summing up นะครับ. So in this one นะครับ the description of this function say that it will return the sum of the products of corresponding ranges or array. That means when they sum up any position นะครับ in the first specify as the first cell นะครับ of that array นะครับ for example position number 1 they will be multiplied, position number 2 will be multiplied นะครับ correspondingly. Okay, now let's see. In this one, we want our ranges price per unit multiplied by its quantity นะครับ same as bananas. So now we'll see whether we get 26 or not as a result from the sum product function. So นะครับ price per unit in this case is array 1. Quantity is array 2. Okay, now let's do it. Array 1, we specify orange price per unit and bananas price per unit. Array 2, oranges quantity and bananas quantity. You can see that row number นะครับ of each array must be matched. C64 to C65 and D64 to D65. Then you click OK. You can see that the stock price นะครับ is $26 นะครับ this is some product ครับ this is some product but anyway นะครับ some product in here นะครับ sometimes price per unit is stored in one table, quantity is stored in another table. We can also use the sum product as well because you can see that array 1 and array 2 in the description of the function sum product, it doesn't specify that array 1 and array 2 must be stick together like this one. So it might be like this นะครับ let's see. We may say that okay, table 1. Okay, while table 2 show quantity of the product that we have left in the warehouse. Just like try to put them in different positions so that you see how some product works นะครับ You can see that right now we have 2 tables. One table keep the unit price. The other table keep the quantity left in the stock นะครับ Now if you are asked to find the total price of our stock as well, we can do the same thing นะครับ Okay, let's see. In this one, if you don't know anything about some product, you just like multiply orange price per unit by orange quantity นะครับ and after that you add it with the bananas multiplied by its quantity. This one you get 26. Okay, this one you do it manually นะครับ and then just like click and choose one cell at a time. But actually in this one, if you would like to do it by using some product, it is you can do it the same. But you have to know that for some product นะครับ when you have to use number of cells in array 1 and number of cells in array 2 must be the same. And the order that you have to multiply นะครับ in array 1 and array 2 you will have to multiply the first cell in array 1 with the first cell in array 2. If the position are not the same like this, you can't do it นะครับ For example, what do I mean? If the table is like this นะครับ Here you can't use some product anymore. Why not? Because in here you can see that it start with orange and bananas, while table 2 start with bananas and orange. So that's why you have to make sure that the order must be the same นะครับ because otherwise if you use some product นะครับ while you have the data like this, it will multiply 2 by 5 and 4 by 3 that are wrong นะครับ so that's why you have to make sure that if you have the switching of the position of the data like this, you may have to sort them or doing whatever way first before you start doing the sum product. After that นะครับ we can do the sum product function directly นะครับ we do the same thing. Array 1 is the price per unit of each product, C73 to C74. While array 2 is the quantity of the product นะครับ F79 F80. So you can see that the intermediate result is showing as 26 นะครับ The total stock price is 26 นะครับ It's the correct one, the same as the first one that we have. But in the second example, when the tables are just like separated like this นะครับ you can still use the sum product function to do นะครับ Okay, right. So any question for these two examples? Okay. So if you don't have any questions นะครับ I want you to do the third example by yourself นะครับ For the third example, right now you have to use our original data already นะครับ So I want you to use this one นะครับ this table. Then in this table I would like you นะครับ I would like you to use to find the sum total amount นะครับ that all customer purchase using sum product function with price per unit and quantity นะครับ with and quantity นะครับ from the first table นะครับ or from our original table. Let me copy the text for you here. Right. So if you do it correctly นะครับ if you do it correctly, it should be the same as like the sum of the amount paid here นะครับ I give you 3 minutes to do ครับ Find out the total amount that all customer purchase using sum product function. Okay, right now you start entering your answer already. 19,852. Yeah, okay, that's correct one นะครับ So the hint first, if I sum directly from, hang on, if I just like sum directly on the amount paid นะครับ it should get the same value. Yeah, 19,852 นะครับ. Now let's see if I use some products, what will happen นะครับ if I use the fx and then some product function. Array number 1 is price per unit นะครับ whereas array 2 is quantity นะครับ Okay, you can see that the intermediate result is showing as 19,852. Yeah, so this is a sum product function that we have. You may try on your this set of data once again. If you have time, you may just like play with the pivot data file that we had before. You can just like try to just use this function like sum if s, count if s, or even the sum product นะครับ you can try on this one as well. Okay then นะครับ so today we talk about like these functions นะครับ from count if s sum if s and sum product function already นะครับ